Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Janice Sequeira and this is Back to the Start. So who's my guest today? My guest today is someone who's a brain and performance expert. She's a healer and she's got 25 years of experience as an Ayurvedic doctor. Dr. Magna Dikshit, welcome to my YouTube channel. And the conversation we're going to be having today is all about rewiring your brain. Now we'll get into that a little bit later. But Doc, I wanted to start off this entire series is called Back to the Start. 25 years of doing this. How did it all begin? Take me back to the start.
It all began with 1997, where I graduated as an Ayurvedic doctor. I was a fresher and I was thrown into this pool where there were already stalwarts there. And I don't know, it was probably I was fortunate, I was blessed that I started getting patients from all, across the country. Somehow I started getting people, those who had chronic illnesses like cancer 4th stage, thyroid, autoimmune disorders like ankylosing spondylitis, rheumatoid arthritis. And back then, still Ayurveda is much better in a position right now. But back then I remember that we only used to get people, those who were rejected by doctors. And they said that, we can't do anything about this. You have to either take the medicine for lifelong or no, we can't help you. And then they would start seeking help from alternative, places. And one of the things that I never liked, which was mentioned about Ayurveda, that it's an alternative medicine. Because the books that I read, and it was so fascinating, the entire education that I had, and I realized that it can't be an alternative. It has to be a primary medicine. I mean, something is missing out here, which is people are not getting. And that's where the whole journey began, the inquisitiveness inside me to realize, what is it that we're missing out here, that we're not able to help people before they reach this stage? Why are people not coming to us? And I remember the first 7 years of my journey as an Reinventing doctor, I would actually look at all these patients as are coming to me, and I would not just give them medicines or maybe, dietary changes or lifestyle changes, but I would actually look at what their story is. If they were born healthy, what happened in their life that their body became unhealthy? Because one thing I know, that there are 0.01% genetic disorders that are incurable today. So definitely it's not your genes that are passing on the health issues. There is something that is happening in your life. And I remember in 2002, I stumbled upon something very, very powerful. Already had done so much of journey before that, and fairly successful in dealing with people. I don't know how I was working and what I was doing, but I was able to reverse quite a few cases of, autoimmune disorders, etc.
Give me an example.
Like, there was this one patient who came to me with rheumatoid arthritis, okay, and she was a lady in her 20s, late 20s, having a baby in her hand, and her husband, they came from Ranchi to Mumbai because some of their relatives told them that, okay, Dr. Magna is helping a lot of people, why don't you come here? So that was my first feeling that, oh wow, I think I'm doing something right, that people are now coming from,
okay, itne baat kar rahe.
और वहाँ से आ रहे types, दूर से आ रहे. And then when this lady came, she had an issue of leukorrhea, which is like a white discharge, which was constant, and she was having this aches and pains and severe, swelling on her body, inflammation, and she could not nurse her baby regularly. And both husband and wife came with a child in hand, and when I was talking to her, I realized most of the questions were answered by her husband. Now that's very common in North India. We are not, it's not uncommon, but something in her eyes was making me feel that something is not okay. So I just requested her husband. I said, if you don't mind, could you leave her alone with me for some time? And we had, I think, a couple of hours of chat where she started opening out. And that's where I realized that the girl came from a very vibrant, very progressive family in Bihar. But unfortunately, 4 daughters. And unfortunately, I'm saying this because, we're talking about the Orthodox India back 25 years, where the parents had really raised well the kids. They gave them great education. And this girl particularly was a kabaddi champion when she was in school and college. And then she was married off to this wonderful man. The man was good, okay, but the family was Orthodox. And it kind of, where she was raised and where she was put into her family after marriage, she started kind of reducing her own aspirations because the fights were happening a lot. She wanted to start her something and her mother-in-law was not ready. So, the constant kind of irritation that was going on in her life, that I'm not living my full potential.
Oh.
I'm living other person's wishes.
Oh.
And most of India is like that, right? We are not actually thinking this way. And that's where I realized that depression that is seen in her eyes, or the toxicity that is built in her body, is nothing else but this constant feeling of dejection that she's having. And that's where I realized that I need to work on it. Now, I was not qualified to work on anybody's mental health back then.
Yeah.
But as much as I knew as an Ayurvedic doctor, I started working from that point of view. Of course, then I started educating myself simultaneously. But with her, that was my first realization that if I help somebody get out of this ditch that they are in, that emotional, mental trauma that they have gone through, things can change. And I started helping her slowly. It was a 6-month journey. She used to come with her husband from Ranchi back then. There was no Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Of course. So it was fascinating for a young woman like me who has just become a doctor, like a 4 or 5 years journey, and seeing her transform, where she got off the medicines, her years of rheumatism went away. The RA became negative. Rheumatoid arthritis test became negative. Leukorrhea stopped. She became really happy. Her husband was super like, this is amazing. And I remember the last session I had with her, and I said, you're done. You don't need to come to me again. I said, no, but this is very good. I feel good. I'm very happy and I'm doing so many things at home now. I said, no, but you're done. I don't need to see you again.
Whoa.
And she's like, this is, what if I go back? I said, you're never going to go back as long as you do the things that I tell you to do. So I'd given her certain rituals to follow through the day. And then she opened her mouth and she said, but I always wanted that one thing to do in my life. I always wanted to start something of my own. छोटा ही सही, but एक छोटा सा कुछ करूँ ना तो ऐसा लगेगा कि कुछ कर रहे हो लाइफ में. So I said, करो. अभी तो healthy हो, there's no problem. And me coming from a Mumbai girl, right? You never stopped for anything. Okay, you do what you want to do, kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, तो करो. So she said, इतना easy नहीं है doctor. In-laws थोड़े conservative है. उनको हमारे family में कोई नहीं करता है. Women don't work, and everything is great. We don't have money issues also. So and it's not the regular norm. And she said, but मन है कि कुछ करो. अपना कुछ करो. Just यही life नहीं रहनी है, but थोड़ा सा कुछ और करना है. So I said, तो फिर एक काम करो, go back to your family and speak to them. She said, but नहीं माने तो. मैंने कहा, देखो, पूछोगे नहीं तो ना ही है. पूछोगे तो शायद हाँ हो जाए. उसके बाद देखेंगे क्या होता है. And she returned and came back after 15 days with a box of sweets. And she's like, family मान गई. I said, okay. So I said, कैसे हुआ? तो she said, पता नहीं, कुछ तो जादू हुआ. आपने कुछ तो किया, कुछ तो हुआ. I said, नहीं. बिकॉज आपके वाइब्रेशंस चेंज हो गए. आप जिस तरह से आप कन्विंस कर रहे हो, आप बात कर रहे हो, चेंज हो गया. एंड शी सेड कि मैंने बोला पेरेंट्स, सास ससुर को, तो मेरी सास तो रोने लग गई और उन्होंने कहा कि बेटा तुमको जो करना है करो, हम देख लेंगे घर. क्योंकि हमने तुमको इतना सफ़र होते हुए देखा है कि वो बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा था कि हमारी इतनी अच्छी बेटी, उसको इतनी तकलीफ हो रही है. तो तुमको जिसमें खुशी मिलती है वो करो, हम तुमको पूरा सपोर्ट करेंगे. I'm still having the tears in my eyes. Every time I say this, I get tears because I can't forget the entire thing that happened. And it was such a breakthrough moment for me where I realized that, and especially coming from a privileged background where I was never asked to not do something. From that point of view, I'm saying, right? So to realize that somebody going through so much pain of deprivation of what they want to do in their life and getting that light was so amazing for me. And then I realized that as a doctor, my job is not to treat just the patients. But as a doctor, this is what Ayurveda advocates. Swastha se swastha rakshanam. That's prevention before cure. And this is what Ayurveda is saying, that you have to prevent, and this is how you prevent. So why am I waiting for the patients to come to me? Why am I not going to people before they become patients? And that's the starting point of my journey where I have now come so far.
So in a sense, you thought you helped her, But she doesn't know that she also actually put you on a completely different path.
Absolutely. I think whatever I have done, I owe it to completely that one case of mine where, and she was open to do anything. Like, she was open to get out of it. So I got an opportunity to do so many things with her that it was really my biggest breakthrough.
Yeah. And those kind of patients don't come around very easily. So the fact that you got it so early in your career.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you already were an Ayurveda doctor. And at that time, now we're talking about early 2000s, all these new age terms, जो हम लोग wellness की बात करते हैं, healing की बात करते हैं, these things weren't very common back then, right? अभी तो मतलब everyone, I mean, if you look at Instagram accounts or you look at so many like motivational speakers have come up and this coach and that coach and this and that. But at that time, no one was doing these things, right? So I'm saying, how did you sort of crack this formula of like, okay, I can do more for my patients than just this? And how did you start then doing that? Because it's, how do you explain to people कि मैं आपको सिर्फ आयुर्वेदा नहीं और कुछ भी करने, like I'll be teaching you how to fix your life in a way.
So it wasn't really easy. Okay, because now, as you said rightly, that there's so much awareness spreading around that at least in the metro cities, you see that people are aware of these terms, mental health, and there's a dedication of the mental health and all that, and the celebrities coming out and talking about the mental health. But back then, if you tell somebody that, that your body is creating the disease because there is a problem happening in your mind, and because the emotions that are generated by the thoughts that are there in your mind basically are the chemicals in your body. So when you say emotions is energy in motion, right? So what's the energy? Energy is fuel, right? So if this is a Ferrari, and if the fuel has to put into this Ferrari, yes, breathing, water, food is also the fuel, okay? But that's an outside fuel that you put in. But if this is Ferrari, and if you have to put in a fuel into the Ferrari, which fuel would you put in? Would you put in a substandard fuel, or would you put in a really expensive quality fuel? Quality fuel, no brainer, right? But nobody gives an attention to this, and there's a lot that happens because when we are growing up, society, culture, or education system has not educated us that how thoughts are impacting and how they are connected to body. Because what education that we have got is body is separate and mind is separate. Right? So back then there was this whole thing. But to make people understand that it is not separate, whatever is happening in your mind is directly impacting in your body. And the bridge between that is your emotions. So energy is motions is the chemicals that are in your body. And there are more than 120 chemicals in your body that are generated every single day. There are some chemicals that are stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. If they're excess in your body, they're going to erode the Ferrari internally, right? And when they erode the Ferrari internally, there will come a day where the Ferrari won't work. It will work probably like a Katara. Right? And that's the disease. So why would you wait for that to happen?
Yeah.
Right? And if it has happened, it can still be reversed by changing the fuel. And fixing where the fuel is coming from. That's your brain, that's your mind. So, and there are emotions or there are chemicals in your body like dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. This is also called as dose. I typically explain this to people that it is a dose. And if you go to the doctor gives you the medicine and says, "Ye dose hai," right? Why does your body require that dose of medicine? Because there is original dose is missing. These are the wellness chemicals. So all the medicine is doing is it's giving you that temporary break in your body. So your body starts healing internally and it starts generating the dose. And the dose itself is healing. So why would you go like ना कि इधर से उधर से क्यों पकड़ रहे हो भैया? तुम सीधे जो problem है उसको attack करो ना. You deal with what's happening here. Maybe it could be anything. It could be a childhood experience. It could be past experience, or it could be a continuous series of events that may be right now also happening in your life.
Yeah.
And all of us are trained into being powerless somehow. Okay. Right? I don't know how, but generally people are very easy to put fingers towards others and say, hey, you know what, economy is bad. Hey, you know what, government is doing this. Hey, you know what, my family is doing this. My boss is doing this. 4 उंगलियां खुद की तरफ है ना, उसको देखो, उसको fix करो, ये अपने आप अंदर जाएगी.
Yeah.
So it took me a lot of time to get to the stage where people then eventually started coming to me and said, hey, you know, I know what you're saying now. And so I don't know how many seminars I conducted in Lions Club, Rotary Club, wherever I got a chance, whoever invited me, I went there, even from the villages to the towns, wherever I could educate people. It was back then all educating people. It was not at all easy. The way it looks now, it's very, very...
Yeah. Today, I mean, in 2023, we talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And in fact, if I dare to say so, I feel like हम कहीं ना कहीं अभी उसको ये term को थोड़ा abuse भी कर रहे हैं. Because sometimes we don't want to maybe internally look inside and see that we could be making mistakes. And तो हम मतलब अभी, because I mean, as someone, and you know, I'm all with you on this, Dr. Dikshit, because I feel like my own mental health journey has been something that's been such a learning for me over the last 5 years. So when people talk about mental health and they talk about trauma and how it affects you, I 100% agree with you. That a lot of it is unlearning, a lot of it is looking at, okay, this trauma affected me that way, and that's why maybe these parts of me are still like that. But I want to ask you, जब आप ये कर रहे थे starting में, and I'm not asking you to generalize, but did you feel like women were more receptive or men were more receptive? So because I have an educated guess on this, but I want to know from the expert.
So back then, I would definitely say I had more women coming to me. So my ratio was 80-20. A woman would get the breakthrough and then she would nudge her husband कि जाओ जाओ फर्क पड़ेगा, जाओ कर लो, you know. And
आज भी हो रहा है वैसे.
I disagree.
Really?
Disagree. Totally disagree, because I used to feel that way, how you're feeling right now. And I agree, women are more vocal about it and they talk about it. Like you see, Lady Gaga, Deepika Padukone, these are women, those are coming out and talking about it. And it's great that they're talking about it. Today, I can tell you that I have more than 75% of database in my list of students. Those who attend my regular programs are men. And you would be surprised of the deprivation, of the traumas, and of the suffering that the men go through silently, because the society tells them that you're a sissy if you open your mouth and tell something is happening to you. So yes, back then women came more, but I feel that I have more men coming to me now. And I'm very proud of today's men, because they realize that they have to change this so that they can change their family, or they can give better life to their children. And somewhere, as a mother of a boy, I personally feel that the way I raise my child also will make a lot of difference. So today my son can express himself.
How did you create that space for him?
So first of all, I was in this whole thing where when I was dealing with patients, I was realizing the biggest block that men have is, you know, it is said constantly that लड़की हो क्या, रो रहे हो, क्यों रो रहे हो, होता है ना, चलो उठो, तुमको strong बनना है, तुमको ये करना है. I started breaking that and I said, strong doesn't mean you can't cry. Strong doesn't mean that you cannot express. Oh, I personally feel the person who cries is stronger than the person who doesn't cry. So I started talking about this right from the beginning with my son.
Oh.
And that brought in that strength and clarity in him that it doesn't reach the point only where he needs to cry. So he is very expressive in his terms of, and there's immense clarity. The moment I personally feel when you have a clarity in your life, you'll shed less tears. Because then the clarity of thoughts will have the clear emotions. The clear emotions will have a clear decision-making ability.
Oh.
Clear decision-making will take the clear actions.
Oh.
Of course, there's a lot that happens when you have a past baggage. See, today, that's the reason I said, as a mother, I could do this for my child. But yes, at my age, probably there are men, those who didn't have that opportunity. So there is so much happening in that case that if we give them an opportunity there where we break this whole barrier that, no, you're not weak.
Oh.
And you have the equal rights to share what is happening to you. There are a lot of men suffer in silence. And I've seen it, and that's the reason I say it.
I'll ask you one more question about this. So you talked about now how you're raising your son. How old is your son now?
He's going to turn 21 now.
Oh, he's okay. So you've been doing this for him for a long time.
Very long time.
But what about men? Let's say, because at 21, so probably maybe from a very young age, you created the space because you realized 20 years ago that you need to start doing this. But how does a man who is maybe right now in his late 20s, 30s, even 40s, or even 50s maybe, how do you create a space for them to open up? And I'm saying this purely, guys, because, and this is again my experience and my experience purely. Please tell me in the comment section if you feel like you disagree. I feel like women are more open to the idea of everything concerning mental health. Men, to me at least, it feels like are still a little bit hesitant. So how do you take someone who's older and create the same space for them like you did for your son?
So if someone is older, first of all, I would say that, I come from a point of view of you cannot motivate someone.
Okay.
So the first thing that I want to tell you is it is nobody's responsibility to create a safe space for you, whether you're a woman or a man. After 18, you're an autonomous person. So what happened to you before 18 is not your responsibility, but it is definitely your choice to change what happened in terms of the way now you look at life. And there are enough opportunities available to us in the world today. If you are willing to change it, you can change it. So nobody else can create that space for you in the beginning. Because see, it's like, if you're living in a family, which is probably a dysfunctional family, everybody is in their corners. Why would someone budge for you? And that's an unrealistic expectation. Like as a mother, I could do it for my son because the realizations happened to me. So that can happen. Like if your child is younger and you're a parent, and I wouldn't say that both parents will do it too.
Oh.
There is a possibility I have women coming to me and saying, how do I convince my husband to do this for my son? Or a husband will come and say, how do I tell my wife that I'm not wasting my time by doing this? This is important for our children. So first of all, I get the problem that if one parent is doing this and other is not doing that, it's also going to create a lot of conflicts. But at least they have two versions of probably the role models in front of them. And there's enough awareness around that can really help them. So one of the things that, Janice, I would like to say is I took my son to every workshop, every course that I was enrolling myself in.
Okay.
Right from the age of 7. So some things he agreed to, he understood, and some things is like, nahi samajh mein aa raha. I said, okay, leave it. You will eventually come to your own identity where you realize what you want and what are the ideas you want to keep it to yourself and what you want to let go. The same way I would say, whether you're in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I have a student as old as 79-year-old who's worked with Sir Abdul Kalam to create those atomic things. And he came and I was so honored by him. And I said, why did you come? And that 79-year-old gentleman, what he said? What? He said, there is no time or there is no age that can not allow you to reinvent yourself. So I have done a lot, I have achieved a lot, but I think it's time for me to reinvent and see what more can I bring in now.
Yeah.
And it was super inspiring. So I don't think he had anybody supporting him or telling him to do this. There are enough things available in the market today that you find who's the right person for you. Get yourself, in that zone where you have to repair your past, if there is a past that you don't like. And you can prepare for your future.
So you're saying the first step, ultimately, you can only take the horse to the water.
Yes, absolutely.
First step you have to take.
You have to take it.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask you is, you talk a lot about how we create obstacles for ourselves, maybe consciously or subconsciously without realizing. In fact, I was watching one of your Success Gyan master classes and I was seeing how you talk about obstacles in great detail. So I want to simplify this for some people, right? What is an obstacle that you see most people consciously or subconsciously end up creating for themselves? Like a common example of an obstacle people create. Apne aap ke liye.
I always tell this to my students that the biggest obstacle in your life is you yourself.
मैं ही मेरी obstacle.
Because most people don't realize they themselves come in the way of their own success. by keeping those limitations, by telling yourself that why you can't do something. People are blaming, justifying. Most of the world you will see has excusitis. I always talk about it. Like, is it
Excusitis.
Yeah.
Excusitis.
Excusitis.
I have learned a new word. Rest assured, I will be using excusitis very, very often. ये क्या excusitis बना के लेकर आ जाओ?
So that's you coming in your way, right? And I feel that there are two kinds of people. People, those who fit into the zone of survival mindset, and people, those who fit into the zone of creators mindset. They're like, typically, if you were to speak in the language of marketing, or it could be consumer and creator. Okay. So a consumer will always look to consume things. And a creator will always look at what can I do new so the consumers can feed on to that thing, whether it's food, whether it's content, whatever, right?
Oh.
So the consumer mindset or the survival mindset is to focus on the problems and to justify why I can't do something and to expect that somebody else will come and save me. And the other side of the spectrum is the creator mindset, where they are focused on solutions. कि ठीक है ना, अब मेरे पास see what are the major problems people come up with. I'll tell you what obstacles people tell me. I don't have time.
Hate that.
Yeah.
Because if you want to make time, you can make time.
You said it, right?
Yeah.
So I ask people, you don't have time? Okay, cool. It's somebody who's your really loved one. I'm going to get exaggerated in this example. You have a loved one who is admitted in the hospital and you don't have time. What would you do? Oh, we will make time. No. So, तुम्हारी life ditch में तुम्हारे लिए problem नहीं है ये. You are on ventilator. Your life is on ventilator. When are you going to make time for yourself? It's the priority issue, right? The second excuse is, I don't have money. You think all the people, those who created the wealth of billions, have money? That's why they created? No, they found a problem in the market. They provided a solution for that. They went to thousands of people to fund that solution. And they created wealth.
Literally like what you did.
Exactly.
To a certain extent, right?
I did a lot of that.
Yeah, you found a gap.
Yeah.
You went after that gap.
Absolutely.
And you created. It's not like you were born with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when you get into that mindset, you automatically will see that opportunities will flow to you. Oh. You'll not have to chase, but you'll attract. Oh. As simple as that. Are you vibrating on that frequency that this is it? This is what I'm going to go for. And no matter whether I have money, time, resources, support, I'm not going to care of anything. I'm just going to go behind that thing. The moment you create that bulletproof mindset, you will see things turning around you. That's why I said, when I said that you're the biggest obstacle in your own success.
Let me reverse that.
And
what is the most common trait you see in people who are successful?
So the common trait I see in people is the ability to choose when to give up.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
So, you need to understand in your journey that if you're doing something, and you must have done it to reach where you are today. And I have done it 1,000 times. Okay? Unknowingly, you have done it. You probably have not give it a thought like, how come this is giving up? So you want to bring your content to these millions of subscribers. And you had taken a route in the beginning to go through some sort of a content, and probably it didn't give you that result. You gave up on that path of content and you created a different path of a content. You didn't give up on your idea. Got it. So giving up on something that's not working and giving up sooner. A lot of people get in the comfort zone of doing the same thing which is not working for them. But the successful people know when to give up and when to not give up.
When to give up?
So something it is not working.
So when your gut is telling you very strongly, ki matlab ye
gut is telling you, the market is telling you, market could be anything. It could be your personal life. It could be your relationships, like in a marriage.
Oh.
You're doing something and it's not working. You keep doing it and you're going to piss the person. It's not going to work, right? It's you are pushing it. But the moment you realize, okay, my husband doesn't like this, or my wife doesn't like this, the way I do it, and then this is important for me. What can I do to change it? I'm not saying it's one-way street. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, of course.
Similarly, your market could be anything. Similarly, it could be a job. Similarly, it could be a business. You go into that market and you're doing something and you're getting a feedback that this is not working. Change it.
Don't give up on the larger idea, but change the way that you're doing.
So the larger idea in a relationship is, I love my wife. I love my husband. I really want to spend the rest of my life with this person. What you need to give up is, what is that behavior, what is that trait that is coming in the way of that larger goal. Similarly, in your job, a lot of people don't understand the possibility of reinventing themselves time and again. True.
I agree with you 100%.
You can't be having the same ideologies. You can't be the same person who was 15 years back and expect different miraculous results in your life. That's what Einstein has said. The definition of insanity is doing the same things again and again and expecting different results. Yeah. So the successful people, I think, know when to give up and shred their old self and enter into the new space.
The other question I wanted to talk to you about was, the topic rather that I wanted to talk to you about was vibrations and energy. Like when you came in here also, you talked about vibrations and I asked you, I'm like, can you read the energy in the room? And it's a trait I feel like sometimes a lot of people don't have. So I want to ask you, like, for example, if you feel like, let's say someone's going for a very important meeting. It could be anything. It could be an interview. It could be someone you're going to propose to. It could be, something you're going to pitch to an investor. Is there a way to change your energy, even if you're stuck in a ditch?
Absolutely. So I'll give you a small example. I do my, after master classes, I do my advanced classes, right? So these are the 3 days.
These are at Success Gyan. Yeah.
At Success Gyan. It's a 3-day program.
Yeah.
Particularly on a day 2, I put them through an activity. Like people don't understand. A lot of people are struggling because they procrastinate because I don't have a willpower. I smoke because I don't have a willpower to give up. So people give a lot of emphasis on willpower without realizing what the environment can be bringing to them. Okay? So long back, one of my teachers had said that, environment is more powerful than willpower. So small activity, okay? How you spoke about the vibrations. There are many things happen in your space internally and externally that can change your vibrations. Now, yes, there's a possibility that you are in that space of something happened at home and the fight happened and you're not feeling good. A small activity I make people do is like, I give you 3 minutes right now. Change something in your environment. It could be fixing your clothes. It could be fixing your makeup, hair, whatever it is, you do. Just 3 minutes and come back. Because I tell them to not change clothes, keeping the cameras on.
Okay, yeah.
So they do it in 3 minutes and they come back. And I ask them, how do you feel right now? They say, elevated, free, feeling really fresh, energetic, more energy. I say, what just happened? You just made that minor change. So Janice, personally, I feel it's a choice that everybody has. Whether to carry the past burden into the present and continue in the future. Or shrug it off and say, hey, you know what? This is done. I will deal with it. Once I come back, I will deal with it. But I'm not going to carry it on with me and pile it into the next moment and the next into the next. Because then it's going to create a lot of toxicity in your body.
So it's a choice. Because today is a perfect example for me to tell you. I'm actually having the shittiest day.
Oh.
Or maybe for me last night, I was like, it's not been a great day. And then I walked into this interview and in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to be talking to someone I'm actually excited to talk to. So I have to shift my energy on my own. There you go. I could be complete. You can be like, oh, I don't care about today. I don't care about this interview. But no, I care.
And how beautifully you're doing.
And no, thank you for that. But I care. Right? And so if I care, I have to change my mindset for that point of time that I can deal with whatever later.
Yeah.
But right now I have to be present with you.
And I personally give one more thing to my students that, you get up in the morning before you get out of your bed. You ask yourself this one important question. What are the 3 predominant emotions I want to feel today?
That's nice.
And when you wake up and you choose those 3 emotions, it's just the beginning of when you wake up. Because that's, in brain, there are 5 different waves. Beta, which is like an alert, hyper-focused wave, which is like when tiger is chasing you, or your boss is chasing your wife, or husband is chasing you, probably. So that's the hyper-focused state. And then the comes is alpha state, which is more subdued, relaxed state, where you are in the zone of, okay, now I'm winding down or something like that. And then comes the theta state. And then gamma and delta. So not getting into the details of the states, but the theta state or theta brainwave is a brainwave which is of pre-programming, or which can create a neuroplasticity or rewire your brain. So that happens twice in the day. Once when you're just going to sleep, last few seconds or few minutes of where you know that you're awake and now you're slipping into the going. So that state is very powerful, where you can reprogram. And the moment you wake up in the morning, so from theta to alpha to now you'll, whatever, depending on your situation, maybe you'll get into beta or you will remain in alpha. So from theta to alpha, the first few minutes of your wake up time is very crucial. It doesn't matter what time you wake up. It's the first few minutes where you can actually instruct your brain that this is what I want to feel. You want to take one more step ahead of that, then program it just before you go to sleep in the night. That's the reason we suggest people that you sleep with a gratitude journal. So you're actually asking your brain to focus on the good things that are happening in your life. So write 10 things or 5 things that you're extremely grateful for today. So you'll bring in more. It actually is proven by science that your brain, whatever you focus on will expand, because there's energy that will flow into that and it will expand, right? So if you focus on what you're grateful for or the things that are happening good for you, it will expand that and it will bring in those things more in your life.
Yeah.
But to begin with, if you choose the 3 emotions that you want to feel, because that would also be a powerful reminder for you. It doesn't matter whether you had a fight with somebody, or there was a traffic, or you missed your train, or you went and there was a pile of files on your table and you had to really deal with that difficult customer. It gives you an opportunity to think about, okay, what did I choose today? Happy, free, fun. Even if this is I'm dealing with this chaos, but I'm going to do it with fun.
And chances are most people are not going to wake up in the morning and say, today I choose to be a sad character in an Imtiaz Ali film. Chances are. Most लोग वो नहीं कहेंगे. ये कहेंगे नहीं, I want to be happy, I want to be positive, I want to be vibrant, and I want everyone, one of the things, so strange that you're saying, one of the things I tell myself every single day is that no matter what happens, I'm just not going to be unkind to anyone. That is one of my big, this year's my big learning is that I just don't want to be unkind to anyone.
So why don't you reframe it by saying that I want to be kind to everyone?
Yeah, but you're right. I want to be kind.
Yeah.
In some form. Yeah. Okay. Do manifestations work?
All the time.
This is the biggest conversation. This is the most, I think even in my first conversation with Dr. Magna, I was like, मुझे manifestations के बारे में बात करना है, because इस पे इतना debate होता है कि do manifestations really work? And if so, why do you say so?
What if I tell you a radical idea that you and I are sitting here, or whatever you are doing in your 24 hours is simply a manifestation of what you're thinking? Manifestation is not visualization. Manifestation is not doing the affirmations. Manifestation is not thinking half an hour about your goals. Manifestation is 24/7. So your life today is nothing else but the manifestation of the thoughts that you've had in your life all the time. So when we talk about the law of attraction, typically, why would it only work for half an hour? Why would it not work for 24 hours? मतलब ऐसे switch on, switch off तो है नहीं universe में कहीं, कोई button तो है नहीं, right? So when people talk about law of attraction, people think that law of attraction means, you listen to this subliminal affirmations, or you do the affirmations, or you do visualization for half an hour, meditations, and my life is still not changing. I'm doing all of those things. My question to you is, you're doing it for half an hour. What are you doing for 23 and a half hours? Okay. And that also, see, the iceberg theory says that 95% of our life is under the iceberg. We don't know. It's unconscious. Like when I'm talking to you, why am I moving my hands like that? I don't know. It's my body who's moving it. It's not I'm doing consciously. It's happening automatically, right? So right from the childhood, that right in the, we talk about Abhimanyu's story, that he was in his mother's womb and he learned half Chakravyuha and he couldn't break it because his mother slept. So it's not just Abhimanyu. We all are Abhimanyus. It's Ayurveda is proven that the last trimester, you're in your mother's womb. You're picking up everything that's happening in your environment. So the baby has to be prepared unconsciously right from the beginning. The survival instincts are right there in us, right from the mother's womb, that I have to accommodate with the environment. So when you're born in that environment, probably which is stressful, you're absorbing like a sponge. The environment, which is a stressful environment, and you are learning to cope with that stress. So your coping mechanisms gets, set very much when you are at the age of 7 to 9. You're literally coping. And, a lot of people don't realize this, that unconsciously, your behaviors that come up anywhere, whether it's verbal behavior, whether it's body language, anything that comes up, is exactly the same that you had as a child. So what is manifestation? Manifestation is the energy and the frequency that you vibrate on. It's not just half an hour of thinking good. It's 23.5 hours of what is happening in there which you don't even know. Because a human being gets more than 50,000-60,000 thoughts a day. And if I ask you today, Janice, how many thoughts, Janice, do you remember that you had yesterday?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Nobody has.
Nobody does.
Like, even if you ask the successful people that how many decisions do you remember that you took yesterday? Science says that we take more than 35,000 decisions a day. And you're hardly able to tell me 2, 3. Right?
Yeah.
So then, how can you rely so much on just half an hour of good thinking when you don't know the rest of the thinking that's going on?
So when we're saying that we're manifesting things to happen, what are we really saying?
You don't have... So you need to know that you're manifesting all the time. So you have to be watchful about majority of your watchfulness has to come from your own self-talk. Not what you're talking outside to the universe or to somebody or somebody. What's going on there? What am I aware of it? Am I speaking what I'm speaking to? Why am I behaving like this? Question. Like Socrates has said, the best ability that you can develop in your life is to question. Not others, but their behaviors. Question
Yourself.
Why did I just say that? Why did I do that? So question. It's more of going inwards and, changing what is not working for you. And that's when you start creating a more positive manifestations. But know this, that you're manifesting all the time. So it's not just that little reading secret or just that little thing. No. The moment you realize that you're 24 hours manifesting, that's when you become watchful that, what your thoughts are manifesting. It's energy.
Energy. Right? It's all interlinked. So then for anyone who's watching this video, और उनको लग रहा है कि मैं currently stuck हूँ, I'm stuck in this ditch. Are there 2, 3 things that you would recommend that they should start changing today?
Absolutely. That's what I was, in the beginning of this conversation, I was talking about the gratitude journal, right? So you have 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts. You obviously can't control them. We are in the world of social media today, right? We can't control them. The research says that the athletes, those are high-performance athletes or high-performance CEOs or most successful people, these are the people, those who have thoughts not more than 7 to 10,000. So first, you have to see what are some of the mindfulness activities that you can inculcate in your life so that your thoughts from 50,000 can start reducing. Because you are only aware of 5% thoughts, right? So maybe the mindfulness activity could be, writing a journal. Like I typically have a favorite journal of mine, which I call it a dump journal. Okay. And I promote it big time. I said, your body takes dump every single day. Why not your mind? Why not take a journal in the morning when you wake up? And all your anxieties, all your fears. Janice, to be honest, just 10, 20 years back, I used to wake up with anxiety every single day. आज क्या होगा? आज घर का ये देखना है, आज का बच्चे का ये देखना है, आज ये करना है, आज parent teacher meeting attend करना है, वो मेरा patient भी तो आ रहा है, ये तो So you wake up with those and it's inevitable. And what really sailed me through to reach where I am, where I really don't have many thoughts and the life has really beautifully unfolded for me now, is the dump journal. I still take a dump of my mind. How am I waking up? What is my first waking thought? Be more aware. That itself will make you realize what's the pattern of your life. What are you focusing on majority? Once you understand that Are you focused more on negative and things that are not working for you? Then the next step comes is, okay, I want to now focus on more positive. देखो, life is not black and white. सबकी life में positive भी है, negative भी है. You cannot say, you cannot survive with negative. Electricity भी negative positive current से चलती है ना. आपका body electric है because the electromagnetic waves है उसमें. So it's natural. So when you focus on the negative, it is expanding. So you take a dump. Now your mind is clear. Okay, after the dump. Now what do you want to put into it? The first thing in the morning is I would like to put into probably what 3 emotions I want to experience today.
Setting intentions,
right? And then looking at the 5 things that probably are helping you to do today. Like I generally have only 5 things that I do on my to-do list every single day.
Only 5?
Only 5. 2 big and 3 small. You know, the biggest myth that we have is a human being can multitask. You cannot multitask. Your brain cannot multitask. You will learn to do many tasks at a time because suppose driving. Because driving has become an automated behavior for you now. It's an automated skill. So you can probably manage your spouses ranting, your children kicking you from the back, the traffic going on, somebody cutting you off, and then call comes on the Bluetooth and you're explaining someone where is that file kept in the folder and things like that. But that's not multitasking. A lot of people have this myth. So you do 5 solid things in your life on that day. That is going to impact your life in the next 5 years. For that, you need to have the clarity of how would your life look like after 5 years. I'm not saying everything that I think of after 5 years is going to happen. Maybe something else will happen because not everything is in my hand. But the thing that is in my hand is to set an intention that how I want to live after 5 years. Not having so much money, etc. No, those are material, tangible goals. What is intangible that I want to experience? More freedom. I'm spending more time with my family. Probably I'm traveling across the world. I'm working only 2 days, 3 days in a month. Things like that. Like what is it that I want to experience after 5 years in my life? And then come down, do the reverse engineering. Corporates do this all the time.
Yeah.
So why can't we do it for our lives? Why can't you reverse engineer? And say, what is it that the 5 things I want to do today that will impact that larger goal of my life? And then I have those 5 things in my to-do list and those 5 things in my to-be list.
To-be list and to-do list.
So to-do list is probably making a coffee is my to-do list. Just giving an example, it's actionable thing. To-be list is to get to that 5-year goal, who do I need to become? Like just giving an example. Before pandemic, before I was doing the offline sessions in hotels, right? Probably there were 500 people in front of me and I was addressing 500 people. Today, I've reached a point where there are 10,000 or more people in the room. The skill of Dr. Magna about 5 years back, who was addressing 500 people, and the skill of Dr. Magna, who was addressing maybe 50,000 people in the room, is completely different. Right? So for me to know what to-do list to bring in to become from this Magna to this Magna, what this Magna needs to be. The Magna needs to be consistent. The Magna needs to be a lifelong learner. That Meghana needs to be more focused. That Meghana needs to free her time. That Meghana needs to feel how can I be stress-free more often? That Meghana needs to exercise regularly. That Meghana needs to eat healthy. So there is a journey, that gap from where you want to be to where you want to go. So I don't know how many people can get this time, but the dump journal I take more like 10 to 15 minutes now. But trust me, Janice, this was in 2013 I started, honestly, regularly dump journal. The first few months, it was 1 hour. There was so much dump in my mind. But today, it doesn't take me more than 5-10 minutes because there's not much of clutter left there.
Because I've actively rewired your brain.
Yeah, and I released it actively. Because after a point, when you look at your dump journal, you start looking at it, why am I wasting so much? Not even important. This is rubbish, right?
Yeah.
So then you automatically start shifting yourself. And then today I spent close to 30 to 60 minutes just dreaming, active dreaming about my to-do list, about my to-be list, about my future that I want to bring in my reality. Who do I want to become? What do I want to do? That I spent about 30 to 45 minutes in that. If people don't have time, you can start with 5 minutes. It's just rewiring, right? It's just absorbing that thing inside you. And then I will never miss out this one point, that never start your day without exercise.
First thing in the morning.
Even if it is 5 to 10 minutes, that's all right. Move your body. That itself will shrug off so much of past energy which is not required, that it change your chemicals within you. Just if you're feeling dull, just do a 10 jumping jacks and you see the chemicals have changed. Your body is such a fantastic machine. It will respond so beautifully. And if you follow these 3 things every single day morning, your whole day will be beautiful. And when you sleep, you will have more things to write in your gratitude journal.
Okay. So 3 things that you mentioned to maybe start off your day, set the intention, which are pick the 3 emotions, move your body, and the third would be?
No, the first is dumb journal.
First in the morning.
Dumb journal.
Dumb journal.
Then you set your intention, spend some time on them. And the third would be move your body.
Yeah. Even if it's for 5-10 minutes, just move it.
The days you have time, you do more. You don't have time, do at least 5 to 10 minutes.
And towards the end of the day is the gratitude journal. Don't put more than 5 important or 3 important and 2 not so important things on your to-do list. And then there's also the to-be list.
Yeah.
This has been a super enlightening conversation. Thank you so much, Meghna. This was like, I feel like I've learned a few terms. My favorite those I'm going to use, Excusitis kya hai? But this was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Janice. Thank you for having me and thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.